Hello everyone, Master Xeon1001 here, and in this video we'll be discussing hard ops and getting started with it. So first things first is I'll press Ctrl-Alt-U and bring up user preferences, and since we're on version 9 I'll just press 9 to bring up version 9. From here, the only options I have checked is Pro Mode and the Enable HOPS Handler for mirror tools. Right-handed is, of course, for those of you who are right-handed and want the X symmetry to behave differently. The drawing tab is quite important. Back in the day, we used to display a text status in the corner that would say undefined. Now that's no longer needed because we actually have a discrete logo in the corner that will serve as notifications from here on out, making it less obtrusive, and if you're working normally you won't see anything, but if you're using hard ops you'll start getting more information visually is the idea. We definitely plan to continue expanding on it, however that's that. The next thing is the key map. Now the key map lists all the hotkeys that are set in hard ops by us. From the Shift Q Pi menu to the Q menu to the Control Tilde helper to the Alt M material manager or the Alt V viewport helper. It's important to become familiar with these hotkeys, however I'll be going over them in this video. If you do decide that you want to remove them or alter them, I do recommend not clicking the X's. Clicking the X's will cause issues that will cause you to maybe have to reinstall it or at least re-enable it. So if you do have to disable any hotkeys, just disable it via the checkbox. Do not click the X. Under the add-ons tab, box cutter is made by AR and myself. However, AR also plays a large role in the creation of hard ops and its update. In fact, this version 9 I would consider it to be AR's update because most of the changes and adjustments you'll see are mainly at his discretion because we wanted to try a change of dynamic. Now auto mirror is the third mirroring solution that we use in hard ops. However, it fulfills a very small need that I'll be going into later. Decal Machine is a tool made by the Enigma machine. He's currently giving a discount for operatives or people using hard ops that you can get via this button here. Mirror Tools is made by Paul Gariskin, who has been a major help in my hard surface workflows and is a great guy. I recently had a successful Kickstarter for Mirror Tools 2.0, so I'm happy to say that we supported in hard ops. Batch Operations was made by Dima and Ivan, who also play a role in the creation of hard ops and some of its more complicated systems. I definitely recommend checking out Batch Operations since it helps you do things that sometimes would require many clicks. That's all I could say. Pipe Nightmare is also an interesting plugin made by Proxy, who is also an operative that is working with us on some of the much more complex systems involved in box cutter. His Pipe Nightmare is just a quick tool for making pipes and that sort of greeble, really handy. Easy Lattice is another tool that I just can't live without. The lattices in my workflow is something that I use a lot whenever it comes to shaping after getting that initial shape, you know, because moving pieces one by one is simply not an option. But this tool makes it quick and easy to assign lattices to not only specific parts but also the entire model. It'll rotate the lattices at an angle. More than likely in the future this will be replaced by Fast Lattice, which is a tool made by Prox. However, more testing is needed in order to get it up to snuff for us to add it in here. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with Blender itself. Alright, from here I'll be talking about hard ops in the way that I use it personally. If you were to talk to AR or even Machine or Ivan or anybody, they probably use it differently. For example, they probably use the Shift Q Pi menu. However, me, I'm all about the Q menu. So I'll be using the Q menu for this video. Another thing is I tend to work with Alt F10, which will maximize the viewport and get rid of all the UI elements. It's kind of a game that I play where if I have to go out of full screen to do things, I lose, right? So the goal is to get to the end of a model without having to bring up any of the UI, and that's kind of my way of testing hard ops to make sure that it's working correctly. So we're just going to make something real simple and just go over some of the basic features. And I'm going to try to do it slow because, like I said, this is an introduction, unlike the public demo, which is not an introduction, more like a demo. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cube, Shift D, duplicate it, not Alt D, duplicate it, because that'll create linked data. I'll use Shift D. And from here, we'll just put this cube here. And before I even begin cutting, we're going to take this main cube. We're going to call this the main cube. We're going to take this cube and C-sharp it. But before that, let me explain the difference between C-sharpen and S-sharpen, because this is something I get all the time. And also, if you do get any questions about this, by all means, let me know in the comments any questions you have, so that way I can address them in upcoming videos for hard ops. Not with challenges to work without plugins, because that would be crazy. I got to thinking about a comment someone asked about that, and it was like, you know, in the end, I think I would just start making hard ops again if I started off trying to work without any plugins, because I would at least create a sharpener. So we got our three objects here. I'll just go in local mode with these, and just to kind of show you how hard ops works, I'm going to press Alt F10 to come out of full screen mode, and we're just going to tab into edit mode here. So sharpening is basically going here, select sharp edges, Control E, mark seam, mark sharp, mark bevel weight set to 1, mark crease set to 1, and now this object is sharpened, except we also have to go here and choose auto smooth, and we also have to go in our T panel and choose smooth. So now this object is smooth. Now C-sharpen is the process of collapsing any modifiers that are going on before and adding a bevel, changing it to weight, setting the segments to 3, I don't know why the property is being so... There we go. Who knows why it's hanging like that. So anyways, we now have our segments here. We can adjust our width, and the smoothing, you know, we'll give it 6 segments, so that way it's a little smoother on this transition. And also uncheck clamp overlap, which will allow us to bevel outside the limits of what would normally be recommended. So here we have an object that has been manually C-sharpened. Manually C-sharpened. So if we were to do that to this one, you know, we could go through all those things I just showed you, or we can just choose S-sharpen, which will basically do the first process of sharpening it without the bevel. C-sharpen will do that same process and add the bevel. Now notice that once the mesh has become C-sharpen, in the menu the options change. This is something that we've been real big on as we've worked on hard ops, is making the first 3 options the most relevant options for the workflow to kind of guide the workflow of the user. So after you add a bevel, you have the option B width, where you can adjust the B width of an object. Now interestingly enough, you can also just put B width on an object that doesn't have a bevel, like this, and you see that it put it on, but we can only move it so far. So now let me introduce you to the Control Tilde modifier helper. So in the modifier helper, we're just going to uncheck clamp overlap, and now we can actually bevel it all the way. So this object is still just a neutral object, but we just happen to have put a bevel modifier on it. This one is a C-sharpened object. You can tell because the logo in the corner is actually brighter, which means that this object's S state has changed. The S state is kind of a property that we attach to objects in order to keep up with what stage of the workflow that you're in order to make the options most relevant and behave properly. For example, if we were to take this a step further into what we call step mode. Step mode is the evolution of the C-step workflow that was introduced back in 006. If we were to do that, this would bake this bevel in here and hide it in edit mode. So this is a very specific behavior that, unless you're aware of it and familiar with what you are doing, we definitely recommend don't go forward with it beyond just C#. I mean, most of the time I just literally work inside of C# until I'm baking out bevels. Then I go into step. But that's something that we'll be covering in a more advanced video. So with that small introduction out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Some of the new enhancements that have been added to version 9 is we'll select this object and then this object and press Q. Under Booleans, we'll choose difference. And what you may have noticed is that under the Q menu, if you have multiple objects selected, there is a Boolean submenu where you can choose to set that up. Now this is based off of watching some videos of other people using HardOps on YouTube and just analyzing that, hey, they're still using bool tool for this particular need. So we haven't yet made enough of a leap for them to let it go. So right here I actually added a mirror. I'll back up in order to explain this process. Mirror is the second mirror solution in HardOps. With this, it behaves just like bool tool except with mirrors. You just select two objects and pressing Alt-Shift-X will mirror it to the other side. So now this object is being mirrored over here. So any changes I make here will of course affect the other side. We want to apply to scale before we do any manual beveling of edges in order to make sure it's smooth. And we'll just pull it out so far, and we're just going to C-sharpen. And C-sharpen will collapse the bevel, we'll collapse the Boolean, make the Boolean real, and add a bevel on top after calculating the sharpness. So, you know, if I thought about what it would be like to model this sort of stuff without HardOps, I would imagine myself applying a Boolean, tabbing in here, going under to select me, selecting sharps, marking them, unmarking them, and doing that repeatedly. I imagine it would get very old very fast. Of course, you can do this without HardOps. That's definitely not a sales pitch I'm pushing here. You could definitely do it without it. But the thing is can your keyboard handle that? So I went in edit mode, and since this edge is flat, I know that by pressing Control B to bevel it, it will push an edge outwards, meaning I could just take this and slide it down. This is something I just call the slide. I do it all the time on models just to just put a little tick in there. So let's go over some other tools here. Under Mesh Tools, there's Symmetry Options. So I discussed how auto mirror is the second mirroring solution. However, Symmetry Options are the first solution, or my solution. Now in this case, I right-clicked on the mirror X and I changed the shortcut to Alt-X. So that way I would be able to mirror quickly by just pressing Alt-X. So now Alt-X will be a thing you'll be seeing me press in a video, and whenever you see that, just know that I am mirroring across. So by working this way instead of a mirror modifier, it just allows me a little bit more flexibility in dealing with the mesh. Sometimes when the mirror modifier is on, because half the mesh isn't real, it'll behave as if there's a big hole in it, because technically there is a big hole if the modifier isn't real. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. Now right here, I did a thing called demotion. Here, we'll undo a couple of steps, and you'll notice that with the B width, I can only raise it so much before it starts to affect the neighboring areas. Maybe it's affecting the neighboring areas more than I wish. So I will select this edge and press Q and choose Demote. And all Demote does is removes the bevel width but keeps the sharp, allowing me to give it a nice little bevel on top. So now let's add a plane, and we'll scale this plane up. We will shift select this object, and we will use C/. C/ is the tool replacing Rebool and C-Slice, rewritten from the ground up by AR once again. This time we are supporting material cut among other things, in addition to using a different setup for approaching Booleans to make it more reliable. More on that some other time. So we'll use C/ again down here. And why not? We will take C/ and use it right here. And we'll just mirror this across. So we mirrored this across itself, meaning that this side went over to this side. So this object we also want on this side. We don't want to Alt-X mirror it because then it's a real object. But if we Alt-Shift-X, we can mirror it across itself. So we can see in the helper here that the mirror mirrors there. It's using the object origin. And any changes we make to one side will automatically go to the other. So I'm sure you're wondering, hey, these mirrors are great and all, but what does auto mirror do? What role does that play? I'll show you on this piece here, or actually I'll show you on this piece. We'll go in and just use auto mirror. Its default behavior will make it use the X, and the default version that I use will make it use the left-handed X, because I'm quite serious about being left-handed. Let me back up here and explain this part. So right now it's mirrored, but since it's selected, I might as well press F, I might as well press Q and set the sharp, and let's turn off merge and make it at the top. So now it's mirrored, but both of these objects are manifold. Like this object we'll turn off clipping. So now this object is its own object, so Booleans that we do on it will be more reliable. Versus if we had the mirror connected up and still meeting in the center, it would not be very reliable on the x-axis in the center here. So we'll just use C/ again and just cut this piece off. We'll take this piece and demote. And we shall demote these. So everyone who is using hard ops and at least is posting about it online, I keep up with at some capacity to just see how they're using the tool and see if there's things that we're failing on. And one of the things that I feel that I probably could emphasize a little bit more on is the whole idea of tweaking and really going in on areas. So we cut this little piece out at the front. I did this piece a little bevel. I'll Alt-X just to mirror that, and we shall Q C/ again. And so now we have this piece. For this one, instead of demoting, I'm just going to push it back with a bevel, and we'll hide this piece because we don't need it for the moment. We shall lower the B width. As these pieces get smaller, you want to lower B width in order to and B width, when I say that, I mean bevel width, of course. So whenever you have a lower B width, you're able to deal with smaller and smaller details, which is where, of course, C-step and stepping comes in, is whenever you want to keep large bevels, but also work with small bevels. So we shall just detail a little bit more here. In this video, I'm purposefully not using box cutter. Believe me, I would be pressing Alt-W so fast. However, this is a hard ops demo. I'll be doing a box cutter one as well, just so there's just a proper video I can link people to whenever they are having issues with box cutter. Right here, what I'll do is I'll use B width, but I'll press Z to show the wire, just so I can show you what happened here. This right here, where you have an edge that hits another edge, I call that hotlining. Hotlining is something that you can fix, but it's easier to just be aware of it and avoid it and just make some changes to your lifestyle, or you can just tweak it all day. So I'll go back into B width, press Z to turn that off. A couple of interesting things about the B width is I could select everything and lower the B width on everything. I could also press Z and show the wires on everything. If you're using hard ops and you're not sure of these hotkeys that exist in the modals, just press H and you'll see that there is a help that will display. I probably should have displayed that in the public demo as well, but I'll show a little bit more of that as we go on here. So right here, I'm just going to just do a couple of little cuts with cubes. Just use cubes. I'm just using cubes just to illustrate a point here, because a lot of the people that are picking it up that talk about hard ops the loudest are people that are beginners not only to hard ops but also to Blender. So, and that's not a bad thing. It's just we gotta help you out and get to where you're trying to get to quicker. So here, I'll insert a cube, I'll bevel one edge, I will C/. Now, for all of this, I could just use auto mirror, and this time I didn't put a seam in the middle, and I will just C/, and we'll press Control M. Well, Control M usually will mirror an object, but it's the strangest tool because half the time it's like as if I'm just thinking of something that doesn't truly exist, but I know it does. I know that Alt M will mirror things, or is it Control M? I don't know because it's not there today. So right here, we cannot put a loop cut. As you see, I'm pressing Control R, and I can't put a loop cut anywhere because this geometry is of course made up of n-gons and tries. But you know, even worse is we put the auto mirror on it and the other half of the object is still real. That's going to cause us some problems. Let's fix that and turn it back on. Now everything is correct. So let's say we wanted to put a seam down the middle. I'll just use the knife. I'll press C to constrain, Z to cut all the way through everything, Z is in Zorro, and bevel that line that I created in order to push this back. By pushing that back, I can now S sharpen, which will automatically catch this 30-degree fold. So once the bevel's on there, I pretty much use C sharpen to update it if there's modifiers involved, and S sharpen to update it if it's just geometric changes done in editing mode involved. This may sound a little complex, but I can only hope that once you begin using the tool, it becomes just more clear. Also, if you do have any questions or suggestions, more questions, less suggestions, do put those in the comments, and I'll do my best to address them and help you out, and you know, maybe even mention it in a future video to make it more efficient. So for this object, I actually want to fix this origin point, so I'm going to select this area in the middle. I'll press Shift S because I'm using the snapping pies, and we'll just choose origin to selection. Now it'll just be a little bit easier for me to deal with things. Sometimes the axis point is important, especially in cases where I want to mirror on the Z like I am now. So this is just a cube. We'll shift select this. You could use the Q menu like so, or you can just press Control Numpad minus, which is the part of the bool tool that really kind of kick-started all of this business of being able to put down booleans quickly and deal with them quickly versus going in through the modifier panel. Like, it opened my eyes to the fact that the whole workflow could be improved. So right here, I'm just going to put a line just straight through the middle. Same as before, press C to constrain, Z as in Z to cut through. And I'm just going to snap my cursor here, put another cube here. We could probably have reused the same cube from before. And you know, sometimes before I do booleans, I like to just put a couple of edge loops in there and just do some pushes in order to create something interesting. So we will C sharpen. Now you see here that the geometry got a little weird. This is because this and this. Notice that just by cleaning that up, everything is correct. And I want to do the same thing to the bottom. Since my origin is correct, I know that if I go under Mesh Tools, Symmetry Options, Z, it will go from up to down, and it will be fine. We're just going to delete that, so that way we can mirror this one downwards on the Z. So all I pressed was Alt-Shift-Z, same as Alt-Shift-X or Alt-Shift-Y, which is the mirror system. So as you see, all the mirroring systems have their own place in the workflow, depending on whether you're being fully destructive, whether you're being majorly destructive, a little destructive, or just dancing with being destructive. So let us continue. So right here, I'm just going to put a plane. It's a bird. It's a plane. Press Q, C/, and cut that. Now, cutting with planes isn't really recommended because sometimes it has issues, like what we're seeing here. In fact, the issue isn't even hard ops. The issue was me. We need a bigger plane. And we'll press Q, C/. But yeah, sometimes planes can be the hardest things to do booleans with, which is why we don't have a line cutter just yet. Also, 2D cutting is, as much as I bring it up, it gets removed from the table the moment I bring it up, talking about box cutter stuff. Let's get back to hard ops. Sorry about that. So here, we're just detailing on our details. And the important thing, I hope you walk away with is, I mean, if you're tweaking on this stuff like I am, is don't stop tweaking it. Like, cut around your cuts. Try to be symmetrical. Try to get shapely with it, because that's where you'll really bring the wow out of these models. Like whenever I see a really simple model done with hard ops, that's usually my comment is something about using additional tools for detailing or utilizing certain aspects that I feel may have been missed. So hopefully I don't sound like a jerk whenever I'm saying that stuff. I'm just trying to be helpful. So we will cut this in here and then C#. So you see there's a pattern going. We cut things in. I'm just using Control- because I've reverted back to my normal state of thinking where I just press hotkeys like mad. Right here, this edge can go, so can that edge. But you see that after a while it just it starts to get a little more interesting. So right here, I'll cut a long line through. Let's try it again. I'll press C, Z, and also do the same here. We'll press E and cut here. So this was quite a complex kniving maneuver. However, the only reason I did that is just so I can real quickly just put a circle here. Happy little circle. There we go. So for this, you can see that some of the pieces are kind of overlapping in this area. So I'll hide it to isolate it. So I just selected everything and then press Shift H to hide everything that was not what I selected. We're going to select just one edge, press Q, B weight to lower the B weight of that area. However, we're going to press A to expand it to the entire visible model. And we're just going to lower the B weight to 0.3, press Alt H, and now we have a finer bevel than the rest of the area. You can see that as the other areas get bigger, the smaller area will compensate. And that's just something I do to deal with these micro details that sometimes can affect the behavior of the bevel modifier. I'll show you another example real quick. We'll align this to view and just scale this up, and I'm just going to shift select and type in knife and choose knife project. Knife project is a tool that I like quite a bit. Notice that as a result of me saying that, it will probably become a tool sometime in the future. But knife project is just great. It just projects onto the surface of other objects. So we'll just S sharpen to just catch it. But we noticed that it didn't catch this edge, and that's because this transition probably isn't 30 degrees. It's probably less. So we'll raise the B width a little bit and just pull this one up. And we're just going to cut a very small micro piece in there with a cube. Also should mention, I'm just clicking on the surface to put my cubes where I want. The 3D cursor has been astoundingly accurate for me lately. Like, I'd be clicking and the cursor's like where I want it to be. Previously, it wasn't always the case. It might have been one of these options that Adrian had me change about the view. There we go. And we'll just move this piece over and put another cube here. So now let's talk about some more advanced techniques that you can do with hard ops. We're just going to cut in here with the cube. Pretty advanced. But here's what's advanced. Whenever you cut into an object with an object, this object becomes what's called a bowl shape. Up here in the corner you can see the icon is red. The red means that it's a cutting object now, meaning that the cube menu is especially set up for these sort of shapes. So what we'll do is we're going to run bwidth first. This is going to get a little slow because lots going on here. I could probably hold shift to get it finer. Bam. Just click to apply. And, you know, let's change the segments to 6 here. Alright, so now we're at 6. So I'll also now go with T-thick. T-thick will turn this from a cutter into a panel. And done. So now we can go ahead and see sharpen, and we have this nice little piece here. Now, due to the complexity, the solver gave us quite an odd solution. However, we could just go and just dissolve these edges like so. Now for these edges that are in here, these cross edges, we're going to try using Q, operations, clean mesh, and that'll just clean up this garbage. Clean mesh is a function that I created, so not bragging, I'm just saying because I made it, expect glitches. But we are working on some improvements for it. I've got quite a few ideas I'd like to try going forward with it. But clean mesh was just one of those things that seemed like a no-brainer after a while. So now we're just cutting out panels. In fact, I'm going to press Alt-H to bring back all of the stuff. I'm going to move it to layer 2. We're going to move this back to layer 1. Because I always am hiding and bringing back stuff, I always have to do a stage where I press Alt-H and then move to another layer. Usually I move it under layer 1. So I press M and then Alt-1 to move it under layer 1. And so we're just expanding out our cube from here with the solidify and the bevel, and using it to cut out this area, which we can also do things to. So, you know, I've been trying to figure out a way to kind of do a video explaining the whole journey of hard ops, but I'm pretty sure that such a video will never be made because it's been such a crazy journey. But maybe someday. So just scaling cubes, cutting, using our bowl shape Q menu to Q array on the Z. And here we go. So we could just keep going all day on this thing. And in fact, since this is an introduction, let's just keep going on this thing because there's more for us to talk about. With this cube that I'm just scaling around and moving shapelessly, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. Let's see. We'll give it a tick here. We should have applied the scale so the bevel would have worked right. And we're just going to C/. Cut this piece out. This piece is now ours. We're going to spend a minute just messing with this piece. This is also another piece of advice that I tend to give people that are getting started with hard ops. I always say things like, you know, just cut it apart and just keep tweaking on each of the pieces until you get something you like. So, I mean, I still stand by that advice. For anyone starting out, you know, just take a cube. You know, everybody wants to go in and make a gun or something, but, you know, if you're a beginner, just start off on a cube. You know, one of my friends was over here yesterday. We were joking around, and he was telling me about how back in the day I used to build houses for cubes, like the default cube. I would put sunglasses and a shirt on the default cube, and just build scenes out of it, just to, you know, for no reason. This is the evolution. Oh my God, sorry. Didn't mean to bring up box cutter. Still, it's so habitual. I will just zone out and bring it up. So after the box cutter video, I will be using box cutter probably primarily as my cutter, because while hard ops is good at cutting, box cutter is just more nimble, more quick, just rapid. So now let me show you another trick that I do from time to time, and that is we'll put a plane out here. I'm going to press W, subdivide. We're going to select the center point and just hit it with a circle and scale it up. And now select everything, X, only faces, and now we have this like circle mask. Which I'm sure you're like, what are you going to do with that? Let's reveal the wire of this object real quick. And we see that the B width isn't showing all of the wire. So let's go into helper, the control tilde helper. We've talked about modifiers. We haven't talked about materials, but let's talk about the misc. Now in the misc area, there's options for adjusting how the sharpeners behave. See sharpen as sharpen and step. There's options for determining how the booleans behave, whether you're using Bmesh or Carve, in addition to your modal scale, which is depending on the size of your work. Like if you're working on something that's astronomically huge, you may want a modal scale of 100 to make it easier on you, so you don't have to move the mile. You don't have to move the mouse a mile just to move an inch. S status, of course, allows you to just override the S status of your object and set it to any S status. Definitely not recommended. This option probably doesn't even need to be here, but it's here because the former option was deleted. Mesh options is the one that we're looking for. Of course, at the very beginning, all the options that you would use to set up your smoothing are here, all in one panel. I mean, if they just put those together, you might not even need hard ops. Just kidding. But we do have show wire and show all edges, so we'll choose that. And now we're just going to put some dots down. So I'm just going to put it here and use knife project. And we're just going to select these two edges and just lower the B weight. And we're just going to move our circle somewhere else, near a line, of course. I'll show you in a moment what happens when you do not have a guidance line. But I tend to use these lines quite a bit, just because I like for behaviors to be predictable. So here, in this area, I'm going to just show you what happens when you just knife project. It just made up some lines. I don't even like these lines. This line goes all the way up to the top. This line goes all the way up to the top. Why does it not go here or here? And why does this one not go like here? It's strange. So instead, I'm just going to press K, press C, and we shall place it there. Knife project. So it's just an easier way to deal with this stuff. It's not something that you should use, but I mean, these sort of things, once you implement them into your workflow, becomes part of your problem-solving toolkit for creating tricky shapes, which is what HOPS is all about. Is you know, making the stuff that normally would require a bajillion keystrokes. In fact, pretty much all the tools that are associated with our toolkit, that's what they all have in common, is they reduce keystrokes a lot. I mean, a good friend recently told me, press DX, DX, DX. Are you out of your damn mind? No, that's too many buttons to be pressing. We need to make it where you press that button once and it's done. Well, that's just my philosophy. I'm not saying that Blender should adopt this philosophy. In fact, I had someone write me on Twitter and they're like, wow, HOPS, why doesn't Blender just add this to the program itself? And you know, my answer is Blender is just fine the way it is. They don't need our help. They don't need us to tweak them. The foundation will do what they do to make the next Blender, and we will do what we do to make it usable or make it more usable. I mean, the default vanilla Blender is you know, perfectly fine, but when it comes to certain workflows, there could definitely be some help needed. But the whole program shouldn't be altered for that one workflow, especially if it's something that's specialized and not, you know, universally used, like some of these other features that we've been going with lately. Like, you know, me personally, I don't even want OpenCL to get better because I don't use ATI. I kind of liked the fact that ATI graphics cards were having a harder time with cycles, but I saw a recent tweet where they were saying that they're doing just as good as CUDA, if not better. Dang it. Well, congrats to you AMD owners. So more tweaking here. As we see for this piece, it actually stayed joined to the other object. Now that is what I call a bad split. Sometimes they happen. Sometimes they'll split it, but it will not separate it. And when that happens, you just go in and you separate it manually by selecting a piece of the geo, pressing L to select link, and pressing P to separate. So right here we have two different pieces kind of going from each other. That just is begging for a cube. I mean, why not? But let me show you a more advanced reason for this area of the helper, the S-sharps, because this part is the most important part of the MISC area. These options are cool, but I mean, come on, most operators do those for us. This right here, let me just show you. So back in the day, whenever you would C-step, right, you would give it a bevel width of like, you would give it a bevel width of so-so, but you would give it like 3 segments. Let's see, you'd give it like 3 segments. Sorry, I was lost for a moment wondering what was going on with my mesh because the conditions in my head all matched up. But here we have 3 segments. Now back in the day, C-sharpening something with 3 segments on it was suicide. Like that. That's suicide to me because that geometry will not look good in any render. But by going into the S-sharp helper, we can now raise this to 45, C-sharpen it, and it's fine. Because no matter how few edges there are here in these bevels, it doesn't match up to 45, so they won't get caught by the sharpening behavior. So we'll just go in, clean up a little bit of trash here. I'm just pressing Control X because the X menu is just too slow for me. And now we just raise and lower the B width, and it looks great. You know, we can bring back this shape again, you know, hide that shape, and just bring it over here, Control minus, and notice that whenever we C-sharp, it just works, except for right here, where it did not work. So we'll just mark that sharp, delete the garbage, there's always some garbage. Anytime that you start getting angles in there, there's always going to be some edges that don't like that. So you just got to get familiar with the art of the cleanup, and don't try to hang on clean mesh, because like I said, I wrote it. So if you have good topology and you run clean mesh, we might as well call it bad mesh, because it will make that mesh have so many geometric inconsistencies it'll be like a Marvel storyline. So just don't do it. But you know, you're the users. Experiment with these tools. Find out which ones work for you and in which cases. It's not strange that sometimes we're using a tool and it gives us an idea for a completely different tool that has nothing to do with the first tool. So right here, I'm just going to press K, C, Z, and then SX to lock it in for reasons I don't know. Maybe just to push that out, push this over, and we'll turn on vertex snapping. So I'll GX, move it here. Alright, so this video is definitely getting long for an introductory video, so we'll be cutting it off here. So you can leave now. You can go and do something else now. But I'm going to keep sitting here and talking about stuff and modifying this object. So if you're still sitting there in the audience and you're listening to me, you know, don't be complaining about this being a long tutorial, because I ended it just a minute ago. Alright, so continuing on. I'm just going to put a cube here, a little happy cube. You know, maybe not even happy. Maybe this is a dysfunctional cube, stuck in its ways, won't change, just doesn't know any better. We'll just cut him in there. Sorry, sometimes the longer I stay on Blender, the more my insanity begins to show. Start making cube jokes to my girlfriend, who, let me tell you, does not care at all. Maybe a little bit. Only when it's a pretty picture involved. But the longer I spend here, the longer I just kind of think about, oh, sorry, I accidentally went into box cutter again. Box cutter has a fast bisect tool that I use a lot in place of this. However, the advantages of using the knife instead is that you do have symmetry. Wait, no, you don't have symmetry. You have a constraint. You have the ability to make the line go straight. So with knife, I just press C and it just goes straight. I mean, the fast bisect does not do that at this time. Alright, so we will sharpen this, mirror it across. And continuing on, so here at the front, this is a good opportunity to show you an interesting little trick. We're going to take this cube, Symmetry Options, Auto Mirror. It's so that way the mirror is live, but real. I mean real. It's so hard to explain sometimes. I might be having a stroke, you guys. So we'll just make this piece, and just to show you how we kind of approach tool thoughts is this would be a situation where I would have to go into T-panel and go up to location and set this to 0 in order to get it to go back. But for some reason, since I upgraded to Windows 10 and did the creators, when I upgraded to Windows 10, things got worse. And when I upgraded to the creators edition, things got even worse, where now when I click properties in Blender, it just gets slow, and I just don't know why. I mean, it is driving me insane, but I don't know how to fix it. So some of these buttons exist because of that. Under Mesh Tools, there's an option called Reset Axis. You can reset your axis to put things in the center. which is much better than pressing Alt G and then moving it again. So we're just setting our object in the center, and we're just going to, before C sharpening and applying this thing, we're just going to tweak it in edit mode and move it over a little bit. Voila. And we shall adjust the B width. This piece should be sharp. That one should also be sharp. And when I say sharp, I mean sharp like a snake, because it's S sharp. Sorry, a little hard ops humor there. Back to business. So one good piece deserves another. So we'll cut it here and C sharpen and hide this piece, because I'm tired of looking at it now. I'm done with it. That piece is dead to me. So we'll Shift C. I don't even know why I Shift C to put my cursor back. It doesn't even matter. We'll just put a cube down. And as this video is going on, I'm trying to, speed up, because, the result also matters. I don't want an intro where the result is like garbage. So, we got to make this cube look awesome, so that way people will want to get cubing with this. So more pieces. You know what? I'm going to snap my cursor there and then hide it, so that way I can just put my cube where I want. And we'll go down here. We shall mirror over, Control minus. And we'll just keep going. You know what? I actually want that cube back. This cube, this destiny isn't over yet. So we'll just put it here, and we'll just use the Q menu, set difference, Q menu to C sharpen. So there's always multiple ways you can do things. In fact, I've showed you 2 ways you can set up booleans in hard ops with the hotkey and also with the Q menu. We can also do it with the Shift Q menu. And we can also do it through the T panel. We'll just go to the Hard Ops tab and close box cutter. Under here, we'll choose difference. And under the Hard Ops tab, we'll choose C sharpen. I would never ever work like that, let me tell you. The hotkeys of Blender just spoke to me. Someone wrote me yesterday. They're like, what would it take to put all these tools in Maya? It's like, well, first we would have to gather a team of people, like a team of people that have Blender brains, because in Blender it's a lot easier to discuss ideas and collaborate and get help. I mean, there's enough articles out there that discuss how the Blender community is full of stinkers. More accurately, the Blender community is full of people, and while there are people out there with negative personalities, there are also an unheard of number of just really smart, brilliant people who are nice and just wanting to have a good time and enjoy teamwork and stuff like that. Like, me personally, part of the most fun of hard ops is working with people. Hard ops was not made by me, as I must always stress. It is a worldwide collaborative effort. So probably more than 20, 30 people may have touched the code at some point, made changes, added icons, did various things. So while I consider it, mine and me, like internally, it's nothing of the sort. Only publicly is it all on me, so that way if you hate the plugin and you want to talk smack about it, you can come talk to me and don't have to pester a merc to tell them your hatred, which I get a lot of mail of that. Like, I had someone tell me the other day that version 006 was the greatest version. and the rest of the versions are just horrible. It's like, man, that person is probably more of an OG than me. I mean, '06 was pretty classic. Like, I always thought fondly on 007, to be honest, but yeah, 006 also had its time. So, prior to releases now, I try to do like small public betas and stuff like that, mainly through Patreon, to try to just deal with any bugs before release, because over the course of making these plugins, I've learned that if it doesn't work as the user expects, they'll be quite angry. And so I also spend a little bit of time helping other people making plugins not make mistakes that I have made in the past that can be painful. Like, I don't even want to say, but it's definitely important to have a good understanding of the community, especially if you're being a part of it. So I mean, I'm bringing all this up because Hard Ops, of course, has a thread on Blender Artist that you can post in. However, I don't recommend posting there since it's mainly used for complaints. But there is also a group on Facebook that is much more appropriate and easier to moderate. In fact, Blender Artist has 0 moderation. Probably go in there and write a whole hate spiel, and it just sit there. It'd probably sit there, get real popular. But don't do that. Keep trying to go into box cutter here. So anyways, back on community. So there's also a Discord group for Hard Ops members that is located in the help area of Hard Ops. So if you're wanting to get assistance or chat or anything like that, then by all means use that. However, I'm pretty sure making a Discord group is a bad idea, and I'll be going back and closing it sometime soon. So we'll just say it's for a limited time, depending on how it gets when a bunch of people gather in one area. I mean, in this day and age, I've lost a little bit of faith in humanity watching people protest on TV and just what is going on with this world. So, I mean, if you're like me and you're wondering what is going on with this world, just blend. Gotta blend away the pain. That's all we can do. Or just go hold up a sign. Sometimes I wanna go out and hold up a sign that's just a mirror. It's like, look at yourself in the mirror. I would also hold up a window, be like, look at yourself in the mirror, and show them that their opposing classes are also the same people they would probably be friends with. So while we're going at war with other countries and dropping out of trade agreements, I like to keep a nice international relationship with people in other countries. So in this video, as well as all videos probably, if you are a coder and you're looking for work and would like to help us in any capacity for a version or for tasks, just drop us an email, or drop me an email at masterzion1001@gmail.com. We can get you tasked up and working on some features, but also you will be paid. So let's look at our cube here. Let's really look at our cube. I mean, we've just been going through with just booleans. We've done an hour of booleans. I mean, hey, what about inserts? I know inserts have their place. However, I like to use them as sometimes a finishing touch, not so much the initial thing. Now, one thing you'll notice about me and C-slashing is I always C-slash near geometry. I don't C-slash in the middle of nothing. And when I say in the middle of nothing, I mean just C-slashing in the middle of a plane or just a box without any sort of guidance lines, because on my end, I would call that crazy. You might get away with it, but you might be caught by those pesky kids called reality whenever your boolean's not looking right. So guidance lines have their place, but also tastefully cutting into things also can help you out. I mean, in this case, the minimal amount of cleanup I've had to do is just kind of part of the demo of showing you why I work the way I do work. Is I know that I mean, I could show you with an example really quick. We'll put a cylinder there, Q, booleans, C#. Alright, looks like Blender decided to make a fool out of me. So, fine. That's okay. It's better to look like a fool in a case where I'm trying to show a shortcoming, but normally I would expect there to be edges like that going all over this, but there wasn't. Instead, it was just one edge to really clean up here. Right here, I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to bevel it to give it a nice little ring opening. And that'll be that. And so we have this little thing up here that we created for creating circles. And we'll turn on face snapping with Control-Shift-Tab. Just turn on face snapping. So I have to press Alt F9 to bring up this area. So finally, after 54 minutes, I had to bring up a panel. We're just going to put a line there. And we will knife project. Oh, snapping is way on. Sorry about that. And we'll bring this over here and knife project, which will give us something random, which is also fine if you're not affecting a bevel. Alright, so, you know, I could keep going with this cube, but we're just going to go on to the next phase of just showcasing what's inside of HOPS. In fact, thinking over the course of this video, and I feel like I probably could have done a slightly better introduction. However, I might reanalyze that. I have a ton of vids on things to cover. So right here, we're just going to just bevel that edge, and right here we're just going to put another tick in. Sometimes I just see things that I just have to change, no matter what, just because it irks my eye. So we'll just put a little tick there. C sharpen. We'll pull this down, and now let's talk about inserts. So if you have nothing selected and you press Q, the insert menu will show up. Classic inserts are inserts that will be placed on faces, like I'm about to show you here. We'll press that Control period to set to individual origins. I might set up inserts to auto mirror if it's being put on a mirrored object as well. To show that one more time, I'm going to select this face, press Q, and under insert I'm just going to select a piece, and you see that it's already placed right in the center. So I'm going to go into helper, and we're just going to change this to chrome. We'll change this to multi, and we'll change this to kev. The reason I do this is because I don't want additional materials in the scene from these, so if I insert any more materials I can just replace them as I go. So that's pretty much the classic inserts in a nutshell. However, under the red inserts are a series of inserts that are curated by myself, just modeled for quick placement. The thing about inserts is if you use them all humongous, it really hurts the piece. I see it all the time. I see like beginners, they'll just take a simple shape and just slap a bunch of inserts in it, and it's better to, it's like robots in a way. Like whenever I'm sculpting robots, I always say it's better to model a little bit of the robot, get it a certain ways out, and then start tweaking it. Because if you start out just booleans and bevels and all that stuff at the very beginning from the get-go on a model, you're not going to have a lot of flexibility. It's like you'd get a lot farther with a scientific approach, you know, like block it in and strategize and perfect your proportions and you know, work out how you want your joints to work and that sort of stuff, and then from there go in and start making the pieces. But if you go in modeling without a plan, things are going to get a little hairy. So continuing on with our red inserts here, so we're just going to just place some inserts and mirror them across and copy the materials from the primary object. And let's take a look at it in render just real quick. So this is what my default render is whenever I open Blender. You know, it just renders. Back in the day, I used to go into render settings and I would give myself like 600 samples and stuff, but now you can just choose render set 1, and render set 1 will turn on denoising. It'll turn on denoising, it'll put a small clamp on it, it'll turn on filmic, and it'll give you more samples. So basically you can just hit it, render, and now you're cooking. So let's continue on with our inserts. And we see that it did not come out very good. That's a problem. However, I'll knife here, C and Z, as in Z, all the way down. Let's get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Now it looks good again. So letting the Boolean solve the geo for you, like that's the biggest thing that's going to cause you surfacing issues. Of course, we got our HOPS logo. But the thing is normally I would put the HOPS logo on one side and the box cutter logo on the other. But in this video, there is no box cutter. So we just have to duplicate the logo and put it on the other side. Now it's like it got some animu eyes, and so we just keep looking at it in our render. Press Q, and let's take a look at some of these adjustable inserts. You might notice that there's some inserts with an A on it. Look at this thing. This is a wobbly insert. Now subsets, or what we call the red inserts, these will never insert on a face or in any location other than 0, 0. They will always be put in the center of the scene for reasons that you see here. If we were inserting wobbly ones at other coordinates, it would cause the modifiers that helps make them versatile less versatile. You just have to play with it for a while, and you'll see what I mean. So we just set this down, expanded it, and then just pulled it out. So here, we'll try with another one just to show you. So we'll just put this one here. Now we have to make these smaller, because like I said, if these things are humongous, you'll see it, everyone will see it, your model will look like someone else's model. Just be tasteful with it. Like it's not hard. In fact, the goal is that you make mistakes and retry so quickly that you're not afraid to mess up anymore, you know. So I will bring up a let's see, Dukes' eye is here, who may also be coming with a new video for 009. I'm still debating on it. In fact, you know, it'd be quicker, clean mesh. And we will see merge. Now, it is very important that you replace the materials that are on these, because they're literally placeholders. They are the ugliest materials I've ever created, because they're all just diffuse materials. They're just basic materials. So you know, there's a blog post I did a long time ago called setting Blender up for success. I still refer to that. If you have any questions about where I get my materials or any of that, just in fact, you could probably just Google it, actually. Just run a Google search on setting up Blender for success, and you'll be able to find a page where I talk about how most of the shaders I get from tutorials or blend swap or just around on the net. Sometimes people are like giving away an Uber shader to try out, and I'll just try it out, and then I'll just tweak it over time. Like sometimes I just am manipulating and adding shaders together with you know, Fresnel as the factor, just to see what different things look like mixed together. So I mean, you know, by all means, you know, collect materials, but also try tweaking them and making them into something new, because, you know, there's always improvements to be had. You know, my favorite car paint material is literally this car paint material I just removed the flakes from. Like, it was the flakes were driving me crazy. It's just great now. So whenever you see me use a material called CP test, that's all it is just a car paint test material that I like, because it's just vibrant, it catches light, it's such a dazzling result. So I've been inserting these inserts here for a minute. In fact, here's a situation where I want the insert to affect multiple objects. So we will Q, S merge, Q, S merge, Q, and now we just C-sharpen all the other objects. But just like that, we're able to put a insert into multiple objects at once, even objects that are overlapping. In fact, something isn't real. Let's see, is there, okay, the Boolean is still active. Sure. So you can also select pieces. Like, for example, I'll select these pieces, and you can press Alt-M and assign a material. As you can see, as we insert more materials, more index materials are being put into the scene. I have to go out of full screen mode, count that as a loss, and just purge. And purge will remove all the garbage from the scene. However, there's more garbage to be created because we're not done yet. So, continuing on, we'll take this classic, and we shall put it there. And just clean mesh to just clean it up. It's just a lot easier than just manually dealing with it. So I see a little normal imperfection here. Just by marking that sharp, we can just prevent that from happening. So let's take a look at our cube here. And so there's, of course, even more to be done here. This is an insert I haven't used in forever. This one is kind of like elevator noise, but I just put it in places to create a little interest. And material. And we'll just put a plane here. Now there is so much more to hard ops that I didn't mention in hopes of just trying to keep this video simple. However, I will be coming back and doing a part 2 as well, but we will, I wonder if my version of Cycles has the shadow catcher. No, it does not. Alright, so in that case, we shall just create a stage real quick, just with C# and a plane. And align the camera. And we'll scale down our stage a little bit. And assign it a generic material. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this intro since we're going on a little over an hour. But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.